Alrighty, hello world and welcome back to Organised Chaos. You're with your host Phil here. It's been a bit of a mission to get behind the mic this week. I've had a few hurdles I've had to jump over, but we've made it. Jumped in early Friday morning to get this one done. And today I just wanted to chat about Fitness Compound and how it's got to where it is. My sort of journey from leaving high school to where I am now and sort of where I want to be in the future. So for me, I graduated high school in 2010 and then went to Griffith Uni for 1 week in 2011. So I got there, I got my student ID, I was able to get into nightclubs a lot cheaper, and then pretty much deferred. So I went there for primary school teaching and it just wasn't for me. I wasn't ready to commit to studying consistently or getting lost in a university every day, and I had to skate there, so I was skating from home there, and by the time I got there I was sick of it and I was ready to turn around and come back. So uni at the time definitely wasn't for me, so I needed to find something new to do, and fairly quickly at the time I found a gig working for Labrador Play School in childcare, so pretty close to what I was going to looking towards anyways in my field. I didn't really know what I wanted to do out of school. I think I put 5 preferences down after finishing to get into uni, and I think I think primary school teaching was number 1, and I did get into that, which is awesome, but I wasn't too committed to it. So, and I think I just threw down whatever. I left school not really knowing where my life was going to take me. And I think, to be honest, that's a lot of people these days. It's hard to have your life sorted by 16, 17 years old. So, or even think you've got it sorted. You might have an idea and then get to uni and realize or get wherever in that career and realize that's probably not what you wanted to do. For me, I realized that pretty quickly after a week of uni, and I deferred and then got into childcare. So from 2011 to 2015, I was working in childcare. I was the schoolie assistant, and then eventually rolled into the schoolie group leader. So what I would do is I would get there at lunchtime, about 12:30. I would relieve the babies and the toddler staff for their lunch breaks. So I would have experience with the babies and the toddlers, which was awesome. I would then do a little bit of cleaning, make some sandwiches, turn into the perfect housewife really, and then I would jump on a bus and go get the school kids from the primary schools. So then I would come back and look after them, and I'd be there till about 6:30 and close up and do it all again the next day. So that was my gig Monday to Friday. And throughout that time in 2011 to 2015 is sort of when I fell in love with fitness as well. So before that, I had minimal experience with fitness. I played sport, don't get me wrong, but I did bugger all in a gym. I wouldn't know how to do any movements in a gym. I was quite short-sighted in the fitness scene. I would play sport, and then that's about it really. I'll do a little bit of running here and there. But in 2011, I started going to the gym with a few mates of mine. Matt and Morgan got me for our first session, my first ever session in the gym, and I just remember the feeling after it of not being able to dry your hair after your arms are just so sore and pumped up. It got me a little bit addicted to it, which was interesting, and I just kept tapping into that. I kept feeling really good after every time I went. I started to get somewhat addicted to it. Because I was a little bit of a chubbier kid, I always had this goal of having a six-pack, or I always admired people with a six-pack, so I wanted one. So I started training my abs way too often. I would train in the mornings before childcare at the gym, and then I would go back in the afternoon, or I would do half an hour of ab work at home when I got home, just because I was infatuated with a six-pack. So for me, I started to fall like pretty much in love with fitness, and I saw it as something that I was really intrigued in and something that I wanted to sort of pursue a little bit. So my mate Matt, who actually got me into it for our first gym session, he was working for a boot camp company in Paradise Point, and they were looking for new trainers, and he said, "Oh, why don't you try and do this?" Because it sort of worked around my schedule with working in the afternoons. They wanted someone for the morning, so I went down, and ran a boot camp, and I just jumped in on the first, I don't know, maybe the first few weeks, jumped in on them, and I was there to prove myself. I was there to go, all right, I'm ready for this. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I remember he would send me the workout the night before, and I would Google all the exercises because I had no idea what bicycles were. I was practicing them on the floor to make sure I would do them right the next day when they came up, so that the owners would think I knew what I was doing. Anyways, they offered me a job, which was unreal, and it also came with the ability to do my Cert 3 and 4 with them. So I was studying my Cert 3 and 4 in fitness while working for them. So all I would really do was, I think it was a few mornings a week. I think Matt and I shared 3 different mornings a week that I would run a boot camp with the owner, and then I was still working in childcare in the afternoons. So my routine became, we would wake up early, go do the boot camp, go home, eat, then go to train together, and then I would go back home and eat, and then go work in childcare. And I had that routine for quite a while. And then the boot camp expanded, and they got a little studio in Paradise Point, and they asked me to be a personal trainer there, which was awesome. So with the setup they had, I was sort of just getting paid per hour by them, and then getting paid per hour for childcare as well. So pretty good setup. I was pretty happy. I was really enjoying it, really delving deep into the fitness side of things, while still training myself and working on my six-pack out of Snap Fitness in Parkwood at the time. So after a few years of doing that, I think I was there 4 years, I got offered a job at Snap Fitness at Parkwood where I was training. So I got fairly friendly with the owner, Nils, there, and I told him that I'd done my Cert 3 and 4, etc., and they were looking for new trainers, and he offered me a job there, which at the time was pretty scary, because I've gone from a job where I'm getting paid per hour, so if I rock up, I'm getting paid, to a job where I've got to pay to be there, and then I've got to try and generate all this income myself. So I ummed and ahed about it, asked a few people, and yeah, it was pretty risky. Probably one to start with. It was a big leap to start with, and now I look back and it was a bit of a defining moment. If I had said no and just sort of stayed in my lane, I feel like looking back, I definitely would have regretted it. So I took on the opportunity and started working, offering mates sessions, doing whatever I could to sort of be on the gym floor. And I remember my first ever PT session. I'm training someone, and I feel like people are judging me. Like I'm sitting in there going, oh, they're like, the members, the other trainers are judging me. I was just, super insecure. So I've come a long way since then, that's for sure. It's funny to think back to what you thought other people were thinking at the time. I started to build up a bit of a clientele base through Snap Fitness. I was still doing a little bit of childcare for the first couple of years there, on the back end if I needed it. And I was also going to a childcare centre and being Mr. Sport. So we still do that now, but at the time they reached out to Snap, I'm pretty sure, and then Snap obviously chose me in the sense that I'd just come from a childcare background. So I would go to a childcare centre and play games with them for an hour or so once a week, all while trying to build up Phil Hill Fitness at the time. So trying to build up a business there that could generate an income that would pay my $275 a week gym rent plus my other rent, and sort of give me enough money to put some food on the table, etc. So as that kept growing and I kept sort of promoting, training and building up a clientele base, I started to get to a position where I was doing quite well. I was chasing 40 sessions a week, and I would get to it. I was chasing 50 sessions, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And it grew to a point where I realized I was just trading time for money, and I was running out of time to trade. I was working, like 90 something. Like I was chasing 100 sessions a week. I think I got to 90 something, and it was like I was burnt out. I had this eye twitch for 6 months. I was definitely doing everything I could to sort of build a name for myself and build a brand. Throughout this time, while building a decent sized personal training business, I bought acreage out in Gavin, with the goal to put a gym on it and to sort of set up something that was not just Snap Fitness. It was Phil Hill Fitness, whatever I was going to call it. I didn't really have an idea at the time. But yeah, we bought acreage out there, and then it was a slow process in buying a lot of secondhand equipment and sort of decking it out to build it up to a gym so that I could then move my business of Phil Hill Fitness into this gym rather than working out of a commercial gym. So for me, we had no name. Originally Fitness Compound was called PHF No Name Gym, just because I wanted to document the process and I wanted people to feel like they were a part of it. And they had been, because I was putting polls up on what pieces of gym equipment should I get, these things, those things. I was keeping people a part of it because firstly, I had no idea. I didn't know what people wanted. So I was asking the people that I wanted to be there what they wanted. And I was also trying to get to a position where that gym would be something that sort of attracted people to go there rather than coming to Snap Fitness. So I realized pretty quickly that all the group classes at Snap were sort of getting filled out that I was running, and like people were coming there for me and not just for Snap. So I think that gave me the confidence to go, okay, I can do my own thing here. I can build something that's mine, and I think people will follow. So I was slowly chipping away at building out. We were putting concrete down. We were painting. We were getting gym floors. Like, it was a process because I was working so many hours with face-to-face clients. I didn't have much hands-on time to be able to do all this other stuff. So I knew it was going to be time consuming. I knew it was going to take a while, but I was in a pretty decent position where I could keep doing what I was doing, keep making decent money, and then putting that towards the bigger, better picture of, well, at the time, PHF No Name Gym. And then COVID hit. So COVID hit early 2020, and we were in a position where all commercial gyms were shut. So they shut everything down as of 12 o'clock on the Monday. And the gym at home was probably, I'd say about 60% ready, if that. 60% ready for it to be half ready. Like, it was what we made it work. So as of that Monday, they shut the gyms down. And as of Tuesday morning, I had one-on-one clients training out of my house, out of the gym at home, because I was able to sort of clean it, put enough equipment in it in the right places that it was somewhat ready, enough to have one person do a PT session and feel comfortable and happy and safe. So we were doing that. I literally transitioned all of my clientele from Snap Fitness to Fitness Compound over at my place, and I was training them out of there. We were able to have one extra person at your house, so it worked out well. I was able to transition everyone over for one-on-ones, and over that time, I sort of realized I'm probably not going back to Snap now, because there was a lot of obviously unknown of how long the gyms were going to be shut for, what was next, what was coming, that sort of thing. So over that 12, 18 month period, we were able to build, as the restrictions sort of eased, they would allow 10 people at your house. So I was doing like a 10-person boot camp where everyone had their own little section with your own weight. So there was still that sort of the social distancing, etc. That sort of thing was still going on. So I could build up a 10-person boot camp, and I was running 3 of them back to back because I had enough people that wanted to join in on them, and because they had nowhere else to train, they wanted something like an outlet, and I was that outlet. So it's sort of somewhat of a blessing in disguise, COVID, in the sense of it pushed me to get everything done a lot quicker. It gave me that availability to be home to do a lot more, a lot quicker. And it sped up the process of Fitness Compound. So by, I guess, the end of 2020, early 2021, we were in a position where we were running, well, I was running still a whole heap of sessions. I think I was offering 12 group sessions a week, plus all these PTs on the side of it from my house, where we had sort of a personal training area and then a group class undercover area. And I'd spent a mozza in getting it up and running. We put AstroTurf down, we put 50 grand worth of concrete in. I bought a big cubicle, like with 4 toilets and a shower for outside, so they weren't walking through the house. I did a lot over that time to get it to a position where people were comfortable and happy to come to. And then we started to get to a position where we were getting a few noise complaints. We were having a few issues with the council. There was a few hurdles coming up that I started to question whether having the gym, like Fitness Compound, from my property in Gavin was going to be the long-term play. At the time, like prior to that, and when we bought the house, I'm like, if I could just run PTs from here, not even group classes. The group classes sort of just fell into place because of COVID, really. But if I was just like, if I can run group PTs from home and run enough of them, I can make some decent money and I can be quite happy, and we can just build off that. And that was where my ceiling was at the time. But my ceiling obviously grew and grew and grew, and I got to a position where I'm like, I need something new. I need a new place. I can't expand anymore just myself. I need help and I need a new location. So I started hunting for somewhere to move into. And then we eventually came across this place here in Mollendina, where we are now. And we secured a lease, a 3-year lease here. And I started to sort of repeat the process, but on a commercial level. So I was still running everything from home. It was all me. I started to reach out to a few different people, and Jackson was one of them. Knowing that I would need a trainer if I wanted to do where I then saw my ceiling, which was running like a proper gym, group fitness gym, if I could run, because I was only running 12 classes a week, I wanted to be running 25 plus. I wanted to have all the bells and whistles. I wanted proper memberships. People were just paying, like transferring $25 a week to come to the 12 classes, or they were, or bringing in cash, or just dropping in and paying for a casual. Whereas we had no software backed up to have memberships, etc. So I knew that for me to expand, I needed to have more people on board. So I also looked at hiring Bronwyn, which has been awesome as well. So she came on board, and this was just before moving to Mollendina. I had outreach to Jackson and Bronwyn in regards to trying to build Fitness Compound, because I knew I needed their help. So they both came on board, which was unreal for me. And then we were able to make a pretty smooth transition into Mollendina. We had our last class on a Saturday morning at Gavin at the house, and then that day, literally, we had removalist trucks pick up all the equipment. A lot of the members helped. So we had members at the house, we had members at the gym. So we would drive all the equipment here. The members at the gym would clean it and then we'd put it into place. And it was all done come that Saturday night. So the same day we finished the class at the house was the same day the gym, well, at the time we thought was raring to go in Mollendina. So we soft launched that Monday after. And I think there was 2 weeks there before we had our big grand opening. Within that 2 weeks, we changed the layout. We figured out what worked, what didn't work. I originally had this, and it's still here, this big projector screen where the group classes were going to be displayed on that. Because at the house, we just used a massive whiteboard and that was it. Whereas I was like, oh, if I get this projector screen, we can put it on there. Everyone can see that. They can reference the classes off that. It didn't really work. So then we went back to the whiteboard and I'm like, oh, I can't use the whiteboard. So we ended up having to put TVs in last minute. So we've got the 3 TVs now that display all the classes on it. That was like a last minute thought process because I thought I could get away with this big projector screen, which is literally sat there. I don't think we've ever actually used it. But yeah, there was a few things there that once we opened, we realized we needed to move or we needed to change or this didn't work how we thought it was going to work. There was always going to be some teething issues. And that's why we waited a few weeks before that to get to do the big launch, to have all the people come through for the big grand opening, which was a huge success. We had a whole heap of people here. It ran really well. And then literally we opened, so that was on a Saturday. They then shut all gyms down again on that Monday through to Wednesday. So they closed all the gyms up again straight away. So that was a shock to the system. Obviously thinking that we were coming out of COVID, I was sort of very excited to launch and open up, and then to realize that we could quite easily be shut down after spending all this money and getting in here and putting all my eggs in this one basket. I'm like, uh-oh. But luckily, it was short-lived. We sort of transitioned our way through it. There was still a few hiccups with COVID throughout, but with like the mask situations, etc. But we were able to make it work, and we've come out the other side now, and we've now been in this location for 18 months, going on 2 years, which has been amazing for us. It's been a big learning curve for both myself and sort of everyone else involved as well, like having Brian and Jackson on board, and since early last year getting Morgs on board as well. It's been a transition from being like my own boss to being a boss, I guess, like in a position where I'm asking people to do things for me. I've got expectations now. There's things there that I thought would never really be a role that I would have, but to now have that role it's a responsibility, and it's a responsibility I wanted and a responsibility I like, and I really enjoy. So I'm quite glad and quite chuffed in being in the position I am in today, which is one where I can come to work. I enjoy what I do. I am in a position now where, like prior, probably when I was working just on my own, I was working way too many hours. I was overworked, whereas now I'm slowly getting that balance back. And then especially obviously building a family soon, I'm going to have to find more and more of a balance there, obviously. But for now, I'm definitely in a better position in regards to my work-life balance. Where I sort of see us going in the future, I want to expand. I love the location we're in now. It works for now, but for our future, I want bigger and better. We're one of 5 unit blocks. I'd love to be the whole 5 unit blocks and have all the bells and whistles. We also do a lot with kids clubs, so I'd love to have like a kids play center. I would love to have a coffee shop. I would love to have a barber here. Like, I'd love to be the hub of whether it's Mollendina or Gavin or somewhere near my house because I don't like driving. Yeah, it won't be too far from where we are now, that's for sure. So for me, this is definitely a step in the right direction where we are now. But my ceiling from going from so low of just thinking if I can be a personal trainer, I'm kicking goals, to now owning my own facility, to now being ambitious to take over the world. So I think my ceiling's only grown, which is, I think that's sort of human nature too. You always want a little bit more, and I'm sort of striving for that each and every day. So yeah, our future's bright, and I think that if I've got the right people around me, and like our members are amazing, our community is amazing, so I don't doubt that we get there. I know it's going to be a process. I know there's going to be some headaches along the way and some heartache, but for the most part, it's something that I want to do, and it's something that I'm ambitious about, and I see myself doing for the rest of my life. So I'm not going to stop until we're there. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Once again, please like and subscribe. The next one I want to talk about is a bit more home life, a bit more about Beck, myself, and then the transition of bringing in a baby as well. So, and the sort of the renos that are coming along as well to sort of make that transition a lot smoother. So that'll be the next one we bring out, and hopefully it's a little bit sooner than this one was to come out. So I'm trying to get another one done early next week. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Appreciate it.